The Los Angeles Angels have been one of the most disappointing teams over the last 15 years with 0 playoff wins since 2009. Along with this, they've had the best player in baseball with either Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani for the last 13 years, which adds on to the failure this franchise has undergone. When you look at the starting pitching for this team, the only player that really stands out is Reed Detmers. He's got a lot of potential in the league to be a very elite starting pitcher, and he has potential to be our ace in the future of this franchise. Despite a poor season last year, I think that he's going to be able to rebound for us and become an elite ace. Patrick Sandoval is honestly nothing special and not someone I expect to keep around for very long. He had quite a poor season last year, so see him as like a bridge starter for us here, starting pitcher. Chase Silseth is very interesting to me because he's got a good pitch variety and he's young, so I'm curious to see what he can do, especially considering that he had an okay first year really in the majors. Players like Griffin Canning, this is another like bridge player. This is not someone that I'm going to be looking to stick around to keep. When you look at the bullpen, the only player that really stands out as a decent bullpen piece is going to be Matt Moore. But again, at 34 years old, I can't see him really being part of our future plans as he's going to get nothing but worse. Closing pitcher, we got Carlos Estevez. He's all right, but he's nothing great, and at 31, 75 overall, he's really not going to be part of our future plans either. And that's a common theme with this Los Angeles Angels roster. They've got average players all around, but they're all aging, and they're really not going to be part of the team's future plans. Catcher is one of this team's few bright spots with Logan O'Hoppe. He's got a good bat, and he's pretty young, so I can see him being part of our future plans here in the franchise. He had a solid season last season, and he showed that he could slug the ball pretty well, so I'm looking forward to seeing him on the team. At first base, we got probably the Angels' only elite prospect. We got Nolan Schanuel. I'm looking forward to using and developing him. If we can get some of his batting up, I feel like he can be a really good first baseman for years to come for us in this franchise. There's also a really washed up Miguel Sano on this roster, and if this was a couple years ago, he would definitely be a big piece in this lineup, but at 58 overall and 30 years old, I can't see myself really using him much. At second base, we've got Brandon Drury, who's probably the second best player on this roster outside of Mike Trout, and I think he's got a really good bat for this team. However, at 31 years old, and his contract expiring, and with me not expecting this team to really go far, I'm expecting him to probably be a trade candidate at the trade deadline to try and get some value or younger pieces for him. Luis Rengifo is a player I really like on this team. I like how many positions he's able to play, and he'd kind of be like a utility guy for us. If someone's injured, he's going to really provide some added flexibility to this lineup. At third base, we got probably one of the worst signings in recent history in Anthony Rendon. He was really good for the Nationals and then came to the Angels and has had injury-ridden season after injury-ridden season, and I feel like it's gotten to the point where he's not really going to get back to what he was back in 2019, 2018. Zach Neto is another young bright spot on this roster. If he can improve his contact a little bit, I feel like he can be a really good shortstop for us. He already has pretty good fielding and a pretty good arm, so I can see him definitely being part of my future plans in this franchise. Out in left field, we have Taylor Ward. There's nothing really wrong with him, but he's just like an average left fielder, and at his age, I can't really see myself using him that much in this franchise. We also have Aaron Hicks out here in left field, who I think I'll rotate in the lineup from time to time because he has really good hitting against lefties, and he's got a really strong arm. At center field, we have the centerpiece of this roster, Mike Trout. He's been basically the best player in baseball ever since he came into the league. Three-time MVP. He's been an all-star since 2012. but he's been unable to put any World Series campaign together here in Los Angeles because they've been unable to put a team around him. We're either going to have to try and build a team around Trout or trade him quickly to try and get some young prospects to build this team around. Out in right field, we've got #1 overall pick from the 2016 draft, Mickey Moniak. He hasn't really lived up to the hype yet, but hopefully we can revive his career a little bit here in LA. He had a decent year last year, a lot better than when he was in Philadelphia, so hopefully he can continue the upward trajectory. Joe Adell is also an interesting player for me out in left field because he is still pretty young, and with that 97 speed, we could definitely use him in some creative ways, either in the outfield or in base running. Here's what I expect to have as our starting lineup, barring any injuries throughout the season. We're going to have Shenwell leading off, and then Rendon, Trout, and Drury. At this point, I don't really see Rendon as anything other than a below-average DH. I'm going to have Rengifo starting at third base just because he's got better defensive abilities. In the rotation, we're going to have Detmers, Sandoval, Silseth, Canning, and Plesac, with Tyler Anderson as a long relief pitcher in the bullpen. Outside of Detmers, I'm not expecting much production. Hopefully Silseth can have a good season, but Sandoval, Canning, and Plesac, I'm not honestly expecting much from them, and I could trade any of them at the deadline. Another reason why I like the Angels for my MLB the Show franchise this year is due to their lack of budget. It's going to make it very difficult to build a team around Mike Trout while he's still good. They tried to build around Mike Trout with Anthony Rendon, and that never panned out. And as a result, you're paying Rendon $30 to $40 million over the next 3 years, which really just doesn't leave you with a lot of room to bring in other elite players around Trout. Along with this, the Los Angeles Angels are one of the worst farm systems in the MLB, with only one top 100 prospect, and Nolan Shenwell. Outside of Shenwell, there's really nobody who's going to be coming up the ranks to help out Trout in the future. Please let me know down in the comment section how you guys want me to pace this season. I'm expecting us to be quite a bad team, so if you guys would like that to be simmed through quite quickly, just let me know, and I will sim through the season quicker. When we're a good team, however, I will play more of the games and go through the season a little slower. I am planning on doing quite a few games in the March and April and May months, just so that you guys can get a better understanding of this team and who is on our team. Although this isn't necessarily applicable at the beginning of the franchise, as we don't have many good young prospects, if in the future we have good prospects and they're doing well in the minors, I'm going to player lock as them in the minors so that you guys can get to learn these prospects. As this is my first ever franchise on the channel, I thought I'd share you guys a little bit how I like to play MLB The Show franchises. I am all about realism, and as a result, I'm going to make sure that the ratings play a big part in our franchise. For batting, all I'm going to be using is timing, and on defense, I'm going to be using the classic, meaning that if pitchers have a lack of control, it's really going to show. That will just about wrap up this introductory episode of Los Angeles Angels franchise. Next episode, we will be taking on the Baltimore Orioles on opening night with our ace, Reed Detmers. Until then, peace.